Welcome back to another episode of Teamtalk. Lots been happening in the South African venture capital industry. Busy people making big investments, busy people getting out of big investments, and certainly pivoting and changing as a result of a knock to the South African economy. COVID-19 was never ever seen before the time by a huge number of participants in the industry. And the impact of change in the events industry in particular leads us to a conversation with one of our investment businesses in our portfolio. It's called Quicket. It's a ticketing business for all of Africa, and it's become a ticketing business and a streaming business for all of the world. The predicted impact of COVID onto other businesses notwithstanding, can you imagine a business where events and people getting together is the core and bread and butter of what you do? Revenues just went off a cliff. We got together with the leaders of that business, spoke to them about where and how we would be able to supplement funding, manage the business, work with them, and where and how we expected them to make their own change. They also had internal strategy meetings. They coded, put together some changes to what they were doing, moved into streaming, and had one of the most successful online comedy events in the history of South Africa. So I chatted to their leader, James Tagg. He's been at the business this year. This week I saw on LinkedIn a 9-year anniversary. So the entrepreneurial journey is not a short one. Here's James and a little story about Quicket. Super, here we are. You guys know that I'm trying the app. I'm not sure that I'm getting better each week, but I'm certainly using it more. And I've just told the person I'm about to interview about it, so I'll send off an invite to you now. But very big welcome, James Tagg. Thanks for joining us. Your journey and Quicket and where you are at the moment is what I want to explore. But first of all, how are you? You're in a puffer jacket in Cape Town. Is winter not ending quick enough?
Oh, it's lovely outside. It's just I'm rather quirky like that. I've actually got a jacket and a jersey on here. This is just my personal. I'm working from a home office, as you can see. Yeah, we don't have good heating in here. But yeah, no, it's great to be here, Bob. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's great to see you, James, and thank you very much, man. I know a lot of our audience already know about Quicket because we've talked about the business before. You guys have spoken to a lot of our investors and updated them on the journey, etc. But I almost wanted to quickly, because we're not going to be on for hours, but just go back to the beginning for in your words. I think I saw something come up on LinkedIn that an 8-year anniversary or a 9-year anniversary from yourself. So take us all the way back, to the beginning and talk about that startup journey in an abbreviated fashion so that you can remember the good stuff and forget about the long slog.
Yeah, look at Bob. It's been 9 years. I had a whole bunch of people saying congrats on your work anniversary. I didn't even realize that was the case. But yeah, 9 years and going strong. We started in 2011. We had a kind of a very heavy tech focus as founders. And there was we noticed an opportunity in the South African market around ticketing and the way the events were being done, and there weren't as many players in the market back then. And so we kind of seized the day, got involved, started making our own product, and I think we found our position in the market quite quickly. And we found that specifically small events, people who didn't have a way of doing events and ticketing traditionally up until that point. We started to service that sector of the market, and we had this really viral approach where you would have an event in a town like Stellenbosch, and suddenly a week later there were 3 events in Stellenbosch using us, and that was due to the nature of the way we built the software, which was that it was built so that anybody with an idea or a concept could go onto the website and just start doing their own ticketing. When people bought tickets for events, they realized, oh, cheapers, this is cool. This is something we can use as well for whatever the next project is or the next event is. And we got involved with a couple of bigger events over the years, and to date now we are ticketing some of the biggest events on the continent. Our team's grown. We've got some really powerful technology now. You really your platform builds kind of gets hair on its chest after 9 years of really trying situations, like I remember the first Africa Burn ticket sale was one of those where you just have a few thousand people come onto the website and like, boom, we're going to all buy tickets at midday. And so you learn a lot in those kind of high stress situations. So, and that brings us to where we are now. I mean, we're at the intersection of technology and people. So it's always a challenging space to be in. You have different levels of people's technology readiness, as it were. And so we've tried very hard to simplify that process for people, not only in South Africa, but also now throughout Africa, and really bring a nice, seamless, world-class experience to the way that people book tickets and enjoy and set up their ticketing, and that they actually get into the events in a very seamless way.
Fantastic. And James, can I ask you, I mean, I know, some of the early pitches with you guys mentioned businesses that you looked at internationally that you wanted to emulate, you wanted to maybe sort of land grab in Africa. Eventbrite came up. There are other guys like that. Have you focused on having one or two headline events and then a longer tail of smaller events? I know schools was a big focus and that kind of thing. How is that part of the strategy, and how do you target sort of those lots of little pockets of events?
Yeah, absolutely. So bigger events are certainly something that we have got a very keen interest in, and that we've successfully ticketed many of the biggest events throughout Africa. And big events have the upside of really attracting huge audiences, which then get exposed to your platform and your technology. And so that they are key market drivers, but our true strength lies in the fact that we have a very, like you said, in the early days, we actually picked out a couple of international platforms that we liked the way they were doing it, which was very much a self-managed approach, which allows, and it's getting more and more the norm these days that you go onto a website and you can control everything yourself. You can set up anything really pretty much without needing to speak to people or fill in paperwork or do contracts. And that's where we were trying to get to. And that was what unlocked, I think, what you call the long tail, which we call the long tail as well. Schools, small events, niche things, boutique theaters, fundraisers, whatever you can imagine people needing to actually take control.
Wine tastings, sort of gatherings of 6 to 60 people doing, whatever it is they do.
Absolutely. And it was a difficult thing because you don't want to put yourself in a sector of the market that says, oh, we're only a small player for small guys. That's not at all. Ironically, that I think today we now see sort of thousands of events coming onto the platform every month, and we don't have obviously a team that can actually speak to each event. So this is proof that it's actually running itself in a very organic way, and that's exactly what we had always intended. Much like your Airbnb model, they're not speaking to every homeowner who's setting up. They can go and set it up, and they can manage the bookings, and the whole thing takes place. And so that's where we're trying to get to. And in terms of Africa, I think, the landscape's very different there. The South African ticketing companies that have dabbled in Africa will know this as well. We're very fortunate to have some partners up in Uganda, Zambia. But it's a different kettle of fish in terms of the way that we do ticketing there. The market responds differently. We had guys, driving around on motorbikes, delivering tickets, which is not something that you have here. Actually, I must find out if Mr. D does something like that. But anyway, that's for a different time. And so we're at the sweet spot right now where I think we're very happy. We've got, we do have this very approachable platform that people can use to empower themselves, and that's what we've actually seen play out quite effectively during COVID, actually, during this lockdown period, which has been that people are looking for ways to make money and get out there and pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And we're saying, well, guys, we've got the platform for you to go and do it with a few clicks.
Well, let's explore that from the very beginning. I mean, Knife Capital has got a portfolio of businesses. COVID struck, almost with zero warning for all of us. We sat down with the businesses. We said who's going to be affected the most, and obviously, straight in the public gatherings and events space, Quicket's stood right there. So revenues went off a cliff. Activity went off a cliff because everyone in South Africa and around the world was locked down at home. But you guys have pivoted incredibly successfully, and there's some lovely success stories from the comedians to the live acts, etc. But that's been a constant process of updating what you can give people, development of new product, etc. Has it been some of your busiest time?
Yeah, unequivocally yes, Bob. We sit at the sort of the edge of the tip of the spear when it comes to at that first point when lockdown gets announced. There are thousands of consumers worried about what's going to happen to the tickets that they're holding, and then you've got thousands of event organizers worried about cheapers, what's going to happen to the event revenue that's now being cancelled, and we kind of sit squarely in between them. So there were many thousands of conversations coming at us in a very short amount of time, and so that was an interesting, really difficult time for us. And we got quite. I actually remember going on a couple of shows and just kind of talking to people quite openly about the fact that we as consumers in South Africa, we need to have a little bit of tolerance here. There's a whole industry whose event is on the line, whose livelihood is on the line, and we've got a very strong culture of rights in this country for good. And I was calling on people to say, listen, you have the right to a refund, but let's try and just spare a thought. If you can do away with that $50 and let the event organizer make a plan, postpone it or something, then I think you'll be doing everyone a bit of a service. And so that was a difficult time in the beginning. And then we started building, and we said, okay, well, how can we put the skills that we have and the team that we have and the development resources that we have to good use to actually start improving the situation for people. And so we got started building internal products, and then we started building a streaming product that we could enable event creators to bring their events online and actually start selling tickets again. And that we got that up in cheapers under a month.
Incredible. Wow.
Yeah, and that was going. And now, that's really taken off. That we were very fortunate to have a couple of fantastic comedians use the platform very successfully. And now to date, I think I was looking the other day, I think we have something like 15 million minutes of streaming time in the last few months under our platform, which I thought was staggering. It's 30 years worth of streaming condensed into 5-6 months, Bob. So wow. For us, it's been a hell of a thing. I mean, we didn't know the first thing about what streaming was or how it worked. You asked me, how do you stream in March 15th? I would have said, I have no idea. Now we're proficient, we're experts.
Jeez, that's brilliant. And so it's also, I mean, it's created another revenue stream and a sort of a product line, a whole positioning. Are you able to enhance what Quicket can do? Are you able to have a dual strategy? I mean, people talk about pivoting, the old Silicon Valley fables. We had 100 million of someone else's money, so we just pivoted at the last second. That's not how it works in the real world. But I mean, this is a great example of you guys being able to add to the number of things you can do.
Absolutely, and I think that's the future of events for now. As I see it, we're calling them hybrid events. But we've already seen the first online events which have had live studio audiences, and that sort of thing was the first kind of feeling or taste of what a hybrid event might feel like. And now I think it's very obvious to us as we see the small scale events coming back online, that I think, and going well into 2021 and possibly for always, that there's going to be this online aspect to your physical event if you want to do it, and we squarely positioned to be able to help you do that. We've got stream teams, guys who can go out to your event, set it up, and it's quite an incredible thing, to be honest, Bob. You're getting access to, a comedian would have a show, 200-300 people could go to the show, or however many the theater could fit, and now we're seeing comedians with 10,000-15,000 strong audiences for a single show. And we had somebody sitting up in the North Pole tuning into one of the shows on the platform the other day, which I thought was just such a cool thing to see. That's a bit of a pun there, I guess, but so that's the thing, is if you can have a
terrible pun,
pun,
well recognized. I like that.
Edit that out. But I think it's very exciting for a lot of events. They're going to now be able to attract a far greater audience by bringing the online aspect, and it's interesting also for Africa. The cost of data is going down throughout the continent, and while physical location still remains a barrier to a lot of people throughout the continent and mobility, you now suddenly have the ability to tune into an event or see an artist that you wanted to see, or an entertainer, or a talk. And I think that's going to be crucial in the coming months and years.
It certainly will. I mean, I'm flicking through someone. I've just put up in the background is the Quicket website, and now the combination. So you can see it. You've got a pay it forward and charity element. The book fair. That's what you're talking about, sort of campfire and classics, like the smaller type of event. But now the combination. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about. How does Quicket then, what am I doing? Am I putting it on me? Yes. Is Quicket then putting feelers out internationally in terms of who they want to be talking to? Is Quicket, I can't do that. Wow, I'm not very good. I've got videos of me doing videos of me doing videos of me. I think
it's videos all the way down, eh, Bob?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you guys go? When do you go international? How does it look for I suppose a combination of things? Everybody's always interested in an exit. Everybody's interested in partnerships. Are you still aiming at owning the African market?
Absolutely. Things have been quite quiet, actually. Speaking to our partners up in East Africa, there's, when they've had lockdowns, it's been properly locked down, but they are optimistic, and we know that events are going to be coming back. And we are still very much focused on providing a single, beautiful, seamless platform for all Africans to use, regardless of your currency or what banking system you use, or whether you're on M-Pesa, or whether you're doing mobile money, or whatever the mechanism. If we can abstract all that complexity away from the user, and they can have the same experience whether they're sitting in Accra or whether they're sitting in Joburg, that's still very much our intention. But now, what we've also realized is that we are one of a few ticketers globally who have actually got their own streaming system built in as a primary ticketer. So this is a fairly unique tech combination, and we've seen it work very well in certain market sectors, especially comedy as one of the main use cases here. But there's a lot of sectors in which it works very well. And there's obviously a whole bunch of specialized streaming platforms that exist in the world, and that have existed and we're not competing with those by any means. But there's not a lot of ticketing companies that have streaming capabilities. So when it comes to events, that intersection of events and streaming, we're well positioned. So we've already started putting out feelers into obviously, certain international markets. We saw our first events in Lithuania, Russia, the US, Spain, Wales, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. We're going after it all, but we're doing it in a bit of a structured approach. So, speaking to places which are English speaking first, that we can deal with in simple ways, and actually just start getting because now the product is entirely global.
Well, something flagged for me when we were talking Africa. Obviously, I mean, there's language barriers. Across border, but then there's also currency barriers, etc. I mean, are you working on specific regions to make it possible for people to use the platform almost wherever they are? I mean, like you said, English first, and then spread into the local language, etc. I mean, this is an expansion strategy. You got to spend time and effort really thinking about this. You can't just do bit by bit, because you're going to make the mistakes and bump your head every day.
Yeah, exactly. So we've learned some of those hard lessons already over the last 2 years working actually 3 years now in Africa. And I say Africa as if it's a single thing. Africa is a whole bunch of different things, and different countries, different complex problems. And that's really what we've done is we've taken, we've taken the Ugandan shilling, the Kenyan shilling, the Zambian kwacha, all of these currencies, we've built them into the platform, and the local payment methods is what's important, and how those payments get settled at the end of the day not from the ticket, so we can capture the payments from the ticket buyers, but then we are able to disperse into the bank accounts, whether it's Stanbic or EcoBank, or whichever banks you're dealing with throughout Africa. And so that same approach has been difficult, but it's something that we've actually managed to do successfully, so that guys are able to actually operate the platform in exactly the same way, whether they're sitting in Ghana or whether they're sitting in South Africa. And that's what we're simply going to go ahead and continue doing throughout. It's a little bit easier in some other more developed nations where you have these big payment processes like Stripe and Braintree. They make life a lot easier for us. Those sort of platforms are starting to come into their own in Africa now, but it's still largely fragmented in Africa. So it'll be a little bit easier for us going into the UK and those sort of markets.
Well, I would imagine with your experience of the sort of the informality of the marketplace in Africa, you're going to know what to look out for. You're going to see congruencies with people, payment providers, etc. And it's a lot easier once you've done it in the toughest place, then roll it out in the others.
Yeah, exactly. And I think part of that is also just finding we're going to try and find this whole thing works really best as a viral kind of thing. So what you want to do is you want to find a key influencer in one of those markets. If you can get a couple of key influencers onto the platform using it, then they expose their audiences to your platform, and then it kind of mushrooms out from there. And so that's the approach we're taking, and we're going to see how that goes. I mean, you're on the money, Bob. It's like literally something that we've only started getting to during lockdown now. Is actually moving beyond the borders of Africa with these new products.
Well, I mean, it's no secret. Obviously, Knife Capital are very proud of our partnership with you guys, and we've been close to what we see you doing. We know how much hard work and time and effort goes into what you do. What lessons could you say? Could you sum up, I suppose, for entrepreneurs? VC firms out there have got a couple of different reputations. You can be seen as sharks trying to take opportunity away by wrapping people up. You could be seen as a hand-holding process that is helpful. You've been through the grindstone process. You understand what we do at early stage VC, and now you've seen what we do in sort of growth stage and scalability stage. What kind of lessons have we collaboratively put together that other people might benefit from?
Yeah, I think I think that it's different for each company, what their needs are. And if you're able to find a VC that is versatile enough to be able to suit those needs, like you said, we came through Grindstone. At the time, we were seeking more strategic investment than the actual financial investment, which is obviously crucial, especially in times like COVID. Yeah.
And sometimes we have to make those decisions, as you know. There's people who come onto Grindstone and say we're actually good for money now, but we've got an IP problem, or we've got a scalability problem, or we need some help on the financial modeling or something like that. It makes a difference when people are mature enough looking at their own business and knowing that they don't just want cash for cash's sake.
And I think I've talked about this before when talking about Knife Capital and the KNF funding, was just really the power of, we've grown up a lot while having investors on board. And that's come in the form of everything from governance through to networking, through to actually really understanding what your value proposition is. And these are all things that you sort of know and are very loose and quick before you have a kind of a structured approach to business. And that's really, we've tremendously benefited from that sort of experience. I think so in the beginning, it's learning. I mean, they're able to assess where the gaps are in your knowledge. And then once those are all nicely kind of bridged, it's moving your business into the next level. So what is the new strategy? How are we going to now break out of the small startup mentality and really get to the growth phase? And I think, I'd obviously like to just point out that we're extremely happy with the way the advice and the guidance we get from the team at Knife and just in general the broader community that Knife fosters, the networks that we've encountered. In terms of lessons, it's a good one. I think investment for us has been very valuable. There are certain freedoms that you give up, but I think and I think you need to be aware of that. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants anymore. You're reporting to people that need to understand exactly what's going on in the business and what the plan is. And I think that, for me, was what was really helpful, is that it actually forces you as the entrepreneur and the founders to actually get a clear framework of understanding about what it is that you're doing in your own business, because you're now reporting that to other people. I would say, geez, it's a difficult one, Bob. It's everyone for themselves at different stages of their companies.
Yeah,
But for Quicket, I can say it's 100% the right decision that we've made, and we're very happy.
Fantastic. Listen, James, I'll let you go. I know you're busy taking over the world. And we love the association. Very proud of you guys. We'll be catching up and seeing where you are in a couple of weeks and months' time. I know we've got some investor updates and some presentations coming up, but thanks for coming on the show. We're just trying to get the message out there. And you know what? Your story is a huge part of our message. So delighted and really appreciate it. Thank you so much and great to see you.
Thanks a million, Bob. Great to see you too, and stay well. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Good man. Great to chat to James again, and I've just thrown up on my screen here the Quicket website. Right now it's at quicket.co.za. You can use it in rands and you can use it in pounds. The guys have got an incredible number of events that they've already done, hundreds of millions of rands through the event. Through the platform. Something to try, and you know. Hopefully onward and upward as they cross borders in Africa, move into Europe, and start internationalizing. This business is one to watch. Love it that they've used COVID to pivot, to change, to understand where they can get better, and look forward to working with them for many more years. What a great interview with James. You can see that he's a considered, empathetic, but enthusiastic and driven leader in that business. So we see it every day. We're very, very proud to be part of the Quicket journey. I've really enjoyed as well all the events in SA opening back up and still using Quicket, trying to innovate with them. Thank you very much. The SA Innovation Summit, people who like Alan Committee and Mark Lottering, in the streaming, changing the future for that business, and with that business changing their own future. So it's a great story about entrepreneurs getting things done. As always, we try and focus on some of the grindstone businesses, and a big shout out to Tommy from OI. I've seen him on a number of different platforms, and I'm delighted that he's with us at Grindstone now. And I know that the business, although it's doing well already, is going to go from strength to strength. We've also got time to catch up with Mark Drummond and his business, Neural Sense.
Tommy, I'm the founder of OI Medical Card. OI is essentially a savings account for medication and healthcare expenses. This is particularly ideal for people who are not on a medical aid or are on a low-end medical plan. This then provides them the ability to put some money away with peace of mind and discipline, knowing that the funds cannot be used for any other commitments in the household. So the OI Medical Card is a MasterCard that is specifically engineered to only work and be accepted at medical service providers such as doctors, pharmacies, and other medical service providers.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Rosenstein. I'm one of the directors at Neural Sense.
Hi, I'm Mark Drummond, one of the founders of Neural Sense. Neural Sense is Africa's leading neuromarketing company. We conduct cutting-edge market research using biometrics and consumer neuroscience technologies to elevate customer experiences. We also provide consulting services to our clients.
Over 90% of our decisions are influenced by factors outside of conscious awareness. Neural Sense quantifies these emotional and cognitive aspects of the consumer experience. We enable brands to find better ways to ensure these experiences grab attention, drive emotional engagement, increase memorability, and ultimately influence behavioral intent. Neural Sense optimizes retail experiences, online user experiences, and product experiences, as well as advertising and marketing communications, store design and layout, and even product design.
Great episode, well wrapped up by some of the entrepreneurs on the upward journey. Looking forward to seeing their growth and expansion. Knife Capital is putting time and effort into putting the Grindstone program together with Thinkroom. Some of the stars who have been in the VC world come and lecture and talk to us and take those guys through the journey. We hope to impact them on in their businesses and in what they're going to contribute to the South African economy. It's the end of the show. Much appreciated to everybody who put it together again to CreativCarbon. I think what we do each week is try and get a nice summary, nice snapshot of what's happening in our world and where the investors are. But we need you to like, to comment, and to give us some advice on what you'd like to see as well. So please do that. And here's a cheat sheet for everybody who is involved in this week's show. Use that to make sure that the communication gets back to us, and we'll see you next week.